Hi guys, it's Mary. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about 3 things I learned while working at the hospital. You know, not to judge others, having compassion, why it's important to hang on to your heart, stuff like that, okay? And a mystery. And I'm going to give you an update on the Blendiful. We're going to do this makeup look together and we're going to use, again, I know we're going to move on. We're going to move on after this, but this is the Sydney Grace Enduring Love palette. So we're going to do this look right here. And if you're on board for that, well then let's get going. How the heck are you guys? Well, I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. We're going to be probably all over the place in this video. And I guess that you kind of expect that for me, don't you? I just got an email from Tati Beauty stating that my new Blendiful is out for delivery, so I should have that today. I mean, you guys know this story by now, right? I wrote on the Instagram and tagged Tati when my Blendiful tore up. And she responded back and said that she was going to send out a new one. I felt all special because Tati reached out to me. After she made that video where she was real condescending, I just kind of figured, I ain't really going to get that. I wasn't too sure that she didn't just say that, you know, but that she really wasn't going to send it out. I didn't want to believe that, but that's kind of what I thought. And then as the passing days went by, I became convinced of that. And I wanted to wait, you know, just see how long will it actually take. But, you know, as the days went by, I reached out and I wrote support. Again, now keep in mind, remember, I wrote support before and I never heard from them. That's why I tagged Tati on Instagram. All this time goes by, right? And I don't hear nothing. So finally on February 12th, I wrote support. And I said, I wrote you guys on January 26th about my torn product. Tati herself reached out to me on the 28th and told me that you would be sending another one. I still don't have it. This is my order number. Can you tell me where it is? And then I put my order number and thank you, Mary. So obviously I want them to put a track on when Tati sent that, because she said she was gonna immediately. I mean, I'm assuming that Tati herself doesn't go to the warehouse, get the product, sit down, type Glitzy, Fritzy and everything on it, you know, like I would with my jewelry store. I think that, you know, she must have sent that request to her support team. And would you not think that Tati's support team would listen to Tati above anyone else? So if Tati sent them a request saying, send Glitzy Fritzy a new one, they would know about this, right? They would have a record of this in their system. So I get a message back. It says, hello, Glitzy. Sorry for the issue with your order. Please provide an image of your damaged item, packing slip with stamp / initial visible. Please list the name of your product. I will get back to you ASAP. Thank you, Tati Beauty. Are you kidding me? This is all on February 12th. I wrote him back again. I'm really mad now. And I said, hi, so-and-so. I already gave you my order number. Why on earth would I still have, after all this time, the packing slip? Especially when you guys don't do returns. Why would I keep a packing slip? In case my puff tears up? I didn't expect it to tear up, and I knew I couldn't return it, so there was no reason for me to keep a packing slip. I wrote you guys on the 26th of January, and to this date, I've still not heard anything back. 2 days later, on the 28th, I wrote and posted an Instagram post and tagged you and Tati herself reached out to me and asked for the order number and my name, which I supplied, but still I have gotten no replacement that she said that she would send right away. You now asking for an image of the damaged product, packing slip with a stamp showing on it, after Tati herself has already taken my information, seems like a way to discredit the return I was promised. I've attached 2 images, the puff damage that Tati saw and her reply to me. Is that not good enough? later the same day I got back, I will send a replacement out to you. Replacement orders may take 7 to 10 business days to process. Once it goes out, you'll receive an email with tracking. Thank you for your patience. Like I said, this was on the 12th. It is now the 18th, and I have gotten it's out for delivery notice. So there you go. Now, why, you may ask, do I even care about this? I wanted to see her do what she said she was going to do. I unsubscribed, okay? After her last really cocky, condescending comment about her condescending video.
Kind of happening with the Blendiful. We all know we had some issues that, by the way, absolutely dropped off of planet Earth after my video. I'm gonna get crap for that.
It was important to me to see if she would actually do what she said she was gonna do. And for her own support team to not be able to find a record that she told them to take care of this, that right there is enough for me to know that she doesn't do what she says she's gonna do. When the new one gets here, I intend to do exactly what she said in the condescending video. I'm gonna do exactly what she says, and we'll see if that one tears up as well. I've not added any more product. I'm just pressing in the primers with this. I've already done my Alter Ego eye primer, and I'm marinating my lips in the Fresh Rescue Stick. So my son and I were discussing careers and stuff this morning, and we were talking about something about my x-ray days. I don't even remember what it was. It's scary how I don't remember things. Like, I can think of it, and then 5 minutes later, I want to remember it, right? And I can think of it in 5 minutes, I won't remember it anymore. That to me is so scary. It makes me wonder. Please tell me you guys have this happen to you too. Anyway, we were talking about that, and I thought, you know what? My career in the hospital did teach me really important lessons. And I think it's ironic that I'm going to say these after what I just said about Tati. But that would be about not judging people until you've been in their shoes. Hypocrite. No, I've not been in Tati's shoes, but let's just forget I said all that, all right? Let's move on. Seriously, though, during my x-ray career years was where I actually put the whole thing together about judging others and taking a walk in their shoes. And by that, I mean, if I judge others, I am taking a walk in their shoes almost immediately. It's so weird. And so I try really hard not to do that. It's like immediately after that happens, the Lord decides that maybe I need to walk a mile in that person's shoes and kind of figure out whether or not I really feel the same way. Trying to use up old foundation. So I found this at the bottom of the drawer. I hope it's still good. It's the Hard Candy Glamoflauge. I remembered I liked this. I need to go through and get rid of more makeup. I'm constantly decluttering. If you ever wonder what happened to a product that I may have liked or reviewed in the past, but it never shows up in the empties, that's because I decluttered it to family. Like, I'm waiting on them to go, will you please stop bringing all this stuff over here? I know this sounds really weird, but I get anxiety when I get too much stuff in here. I literally was taking Xanax at one point 3 times a day to deal with my anxiety. The hoarding of makeup wasn't what caused my anxiety. I was having anxiety over other things, but the makeup hoarding didn't help at all. So I'm not just throwing that term around. Anxiety is a real thing that was really perplexing me. And I would come in here and look at all this stuff and go, oh my gosh, I have to get rid of it. There's just too much. There's too much. I'm going to stay in the middle of my face here with this. I'm not coming on the outside with the foundation. I've been doing that a lot lately. Just taking the foundation where I need it. And I don't know if I'm going to get by with that on camera or not, but I can in real life. Editing Mary here. Okay, guys. So there was this part of the video where I'm going, and my mouth, something happened with the speed going into this, and my mouth wasn't going with my body that was 2 times fast. I can't fix it. And if this was any other kind of video, I would just chop out that whole section and forget about it. But I'm doing a get ready with me, so What we're going to do is join me in progress telling a story, but a crucial part of this has been left out and kind of makes me sound like I'm prejudiced against people who have a lot of piercings. As an x-ray tech, I do. If I have to x-ray your face or your head and you have like all, I mean, seriously, that took some patience, right? All these piercings all over this guy. In any case, you missed the part where I was leading up to that, and I'm talking about passing judgments on people. And this was like in the 90s, just saying, in the 90s, it wasn't as popular to see somebody with a rainbow colored mohawk and so many piercings that you can't count. I'm like all the way across the eyebrows, in the nose, around here, like around the upper lip, and the tongue. Now, if you like piercings, do you boo, okay? I mean, I'm thinking about getting a third one here for my birthday. I just don't know yet. I mean, this guy, though, he was like following me over to the department, but not in like he was stalking me. He was walking over for an x-ray. And he was a little agitated because I told him that a few of those piercings were going to have to come out for the x-ray. Like he'd get right on me, right? And get right in my face and put, I'm not going to make this symbol. You guys know what it is, and it's just something I don't need to show you. He would like spread his fingers a certain way over his mouth and then like wave at me through his fingers with his tongue. And he just kept doing that. He wanted me to see the tongue bar, which was just starting in that area to become a popular thing back then. I'd had just about enough of the guy, you know. I mean, that wasn't the first thing that he was doing to me. So I just turned around and looked at him and I go, yeah, you know, if you was any good, you wouldn't need that. That one there, you know, I mean, like I did pass a judgment on that guy, but, you know, I didn't turn into this person that like is completely asinine and rude. That kind of thing, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about stuff like lady comes over and she's complaining of back pain. They want to do an x-ray on her. And, you know, I mean, you don't know how many people come to the hospital with back pain. We're going to be going into this today. I'm going to come down into Juliet and just come all over from the crease up. Anyway, you know, so like she'd come over, be like, what did you do to your back? And she's like, I've been over to pick up a pencil. And you're like, you've been over to pick up a pencil and then you herniated your disc. Yeah, you can do that, guys. Next thing you know, that was the last time I ever judged that. It was that kind of thing, you know, where you're judging people. Don't judge people. I'm not saying this only happens to Christians, but I just don't remember it ever happening until I was a Christian. Now it's like a sample buffet of things that I've judged people on. That's what's going to happen to me. So I try really hard not to judge people. Wow. All over my lid. Yes, baby, I love this shade so much. You know, Darcy and Devotion just really do it for me. The other lesson that I learned at the hospital was, if you lose your compassion, then you need to get out of the field, okay? Because the medical world is bad enough without its people losing compassion. And even the most compassionate person will sometimes have to take a breather. You know, you just see so much that it's hard to deal with it all the time, and you lose compassion. One of the things that I heard Raw Beauty Christie say in one of her videos recently was how, you know, she was treated like a drug seeker when she went to the hospital. The thing is, no, they shouldn't do that, but they do see so much of it. So much of it, it's not even funny. And a lot of times, it is. That's exact. I'm just doing the same thing with my finger. A lot of times, it is drug seeking, but you can't treat everybody like that because a lot of people really are having pain and they actually know what works for them. And herein lies the actual problem, I think, is if you show up in the ER and you are having pain and you ask for a specific drug that will help you, that's one of the first things that makes it look like drug seeking, okay? you know? Yet, the person who's in pain, they just want to cut to the chase and get it over with, okay? They know what works because they are chronic pain people. So they know what works for them. And it'd be nice if they could say it and people would believe them. But you know what I mean? Anyway, almost everybody who gets into the medical world, and I don't mean doctors, because I have seen a lot of doctors who got into the field to make money. That was their purpose for doing it. I don't think that people like nurses and x-ray techs particularly do this as much because, yeah, the money's good, but the work is super hard too. And I mean, I've never seen a doctor have to clean up poo. It doesn't help when you actually hear doctors come in and make remarks, which they could be kidding. But, when you hear them say, feel free to call me in because I got a new Porsche. And while I'm on that, okay, I do want to express here, because I know this to be true, that people misjudge that doctors are rich. Doctors aren't rich. They don't get money until they've been in it a long time. And it's because they have to pay off those student loans. Not only do they have all this debt that they got to get out from underneath from medical school, they have astronomical malpractice that they have to pay. And because everybody's sue happy. Everybody wants to sue everybody for everything. Medical malpractice insurance is horrible. And then you have to play the doctor game. Okay, now this is just what I've observed. This may not be the case everywhere you go in the world, but I would find it hard to believe that it's just happened in the hospitals I worked at. The way the doctor game works, it's like an advanced version of Keeping Up with the Joneses. Here's how it works. Dr. So-and-so graduates and he's a surgeon, okay? He graduates and he's got all these bills. Now, sometimes hospitals give new resident doctors a house they've purchased, like the hospital might come through and buy up all the houses across the street from the hospital and then put their resident doctors in them so that they, as part of the perk for just starting out, because they know that they don't have a lot of money. And so they'll put them over there and they want them close. Basically, the doctor game is buying stuff so that you fit in, joining the right golf club, stuff like that, so that you fit in with the other doctors, so that the doctors will refer their patients to you. You see what I'm saying? You gotta be in with those doctors. To get in with those doctors, you need to hang out with them. And in doing that, they get a lot of debt that they already have a big pile of debt. Now they just getting more debt. Anyway, that's not the point of all of this. I'm actually starting to forget what the point was. Oh yeah, compassion. Most people, in my experience, get into the health field because they want to help people, okay? Because they have compassion and they want to help people. That's why they're in there. But, depending on how much crap you see along the way, you can actually start to lose your compassion. And when that happens, I think it's good to maybe go away for a little while and come back. For instance, I lost my compassion and I left the hospital and went and worked in a practice for a year. I can't even express how healing it was for me to actually see people get better instead of just seeing people in the worst circumstances. I needed to get away from it. A lot of times you won't need to do that unless you work in a trauma field where it's just constantly seeing trauma. And, you just can't deal with it anymore. And then I think I have told on this channel before about the last step that for me was when this car accident was brought in and this guy was decapitated. This was like in the middle of the night, and the cafeteria lady, who was a super duper good cook, she was going to make cheeseburgers that night. And let me tell you, bacon cheeseburgers to her meant 6 pieces of bacon on the cheeseburger. She my kind of girl. And that's what we're in there discussing. While we're waiting on the coroner, somehow the family of this guy got back there where we were and heard and saw us cutting up, joking, laughing with their expired relative right in the room. The look on this woman's face, and deservingly so. I never felt so horrible in my whole life. The look on her face made me go spend some time on the heliport crying. And my nurse friends, they came out there and they were like, it's a coping mechanism. Because I'm like, we were laughing. And they're like, it's a coping mechanism. It is a coping mechanism for the hospital workers. I mean, if you don't laugh at some point, for crying out loud, you got to be able to release. But I said, that's enough. I'm out. That wasn't the first thing that I noticed that I wasn't thinking about like I should anymore. And I said, I'm out. And I left and I went to work for a private practice that needed an x-ray tech. And I worked there for a year. And then I went back. Compassion is something that everybody in the medical field needs to have, not just people that work at the hospital. And if you find yourself losing compassion, then it's time to step back and think about why you got into this in the first place. And when I came back, what I made myself do was pretend each patient was my parent. And then I would treat them like I wanted them to be treated. And that served me well until I retired from the hospital. But yeah, sometimes I watch things on TV and I see them, and I know I've said this before, but I wonder, because like I will see something like on Grey's Anatomy or whatever, I will see that and think, that happened when I worked at such and such. Maybe all these stories actually did happen somewhere. But, some of them are so, no. But there are things, like you would think that if you got shot in the head with a nail gun, that you would die, right? And by the way, if you don't know it, x-ray usually ends up on everything. Even people that are brought in, they're already deceased. If something happened, like, I don't know, say they found a body in the park and they take it down to the morgue, x-ray has to go down there and x-ray the body. They're looking for things like bullets. So you got to go to the morgue, even though the body has been pretty well consumed by the elements and animals. Even if you're not looking for like a bullet or something like that, you have to go down there and x-ray it anyway for, documentation purposes. So this guy comes in, he gets into it on the roof with his friend. They're roofing. He gets into it with his friend on the roof, and his friend just comes right up to him, puts the nail gun right here, and boom. And the guy, I took the x-ray, I know. The guy is talking and acting just like nothing has happened to him at all. He's got a nail in his head from a nail gun. And he is mad. Now, he is like, when I get out of here, he's had it, blah, blah, blah. And he's, highly agitated and carrying on. And I'm like, stop moving. Okay, because I just developed the x-ray. It's like right almost touching his brain. And he's just agitated and moving around and stuff. And I'm like, please, sir, stop moving. You think that they're going to prepare you for everything that you could possibly see, how many dang scenarios of things can happen? Just watch any kind of show on TV. They've got scenarios on all of them. You're going, no way. Well, some of them way, okay? Some of them I still go, I was doing that for like 16 years. I never saw that, but it could happen. I'm not going to say that it didn't happen. Like a human chastity belt, where a boyfriend like 3-hole punches his girlfriend and sticks a padlock on her so that when he goes out of town, right? You're not supposed to ask him, but sometimes, like you guys know, I've told you in the past, I can't help it. And I want to know, like, why would you let him do that to you? Serious? I got a number for you to call. And how would I know that? Because it wasn't removed for the x-ray. So you get the x-ray out and go, that looks like a padlock. Then you go over to the ER and lift up their gown and you're like, I'm telling your mom and dad when they get here, we're going to do something experimental today. I was so impressed with the Believe mascara. I kind of want to take it up against my Pat McGrath. And I put that Cils booster on both. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to even put the Believe on the less prominent lashes eye. I'm going to put it on my bad lashes eye. I've not used this with a primer yet. I'm just curious. I've been liking this Believe mascara, so I'm going to put it on my right eye, and I'm going to put Pat McGrath on my left eye, and we're going to take into consideration that the lashes are just flat out better on the left. But I want to see how good this does up against Pat McGrath. A third thing I learned working at the hospital, and why do I always want to say things that might make me cry while I'm doing eye makeup? I'm not gonna go into detail on it because I don't want to cry, and I don't want to make you guys cry. And that story absolutely probably would make you cry. And that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is, along with not losing compassion, but to also keep your heart. You have to keep your heart. So like I told you, X-ray does go to the morgue all the time for, documentation purposes, or to actually figure something out. I'm sorry, my son called and I don't remember what we were talking about or where I left off. I know what we're talking about, I just don't remember where I left off. But anyway, I had to go to the morgue to x-ray a baby. The baby is not even 3 months old, all right? And the parent had taken, and I'm not going to go into details, let's just say they beat the baby up pretty bad, and I need to go down there and x-ray the whole body. Some things are for court cases and stuff, all right? Murder cases or whatever. Anyway, so I take a student and go down there with me. Now, the student hasn't worked in this field long enough to have no compassion or heart. The student is like brand new in the field, so keep that in mind. We go down there and with the portable x-ray machine, and the people in the room are a doctor, I almost put that over here. The doctor, the coroner, security, me, the student. Was that it? Me, the student, security, a doctor, and the coroner. 5 people. 5 of us are in there while I'm doing these x-rays. At this point, I don't know how many years I was into my career, but it was a good long time. A good long time. And I've got this student with me, and I'm x-raying, and I'm bawling my head off, okay? I'm positioning the baby. I mean, my tears are falling on the baby, on the cassette. I can't help it. I'm embarrassed, okay? And I'm like trying to dry it and everything, and I'm like looking around me, and no one, okay, not one person has any emotion except for me. And I am so ashamed of myself because I've been a professional all this time and I can't hold it together. And all these other people are in the room. Even the student can hold it together. I can't though. And it just upset me so much. When we get back to the department, I give the film to the darkroom tech, and then I take off for the bathroom because I have to get myself together and everything. And I'm really upset. And my friend, my partner in crime, she used to work with me. She waits till I come out of the bathroom, and then she said, "What's wrong?" And I told her, and how I couldn't hold it together, and how unprofessional it was, and how everyone else in the room was professional and could hold it together, but me, no, I'm a blubbering, crying mess, and look how many things I've seen, and yet I'm crying and carrying on. And she said something I will never forget in my whole life. She looked at me and she said, "Mary, I don't want to ever, ever hear you apologize again for having a heart." She said, "From now on, I want you to stop that and ask yourself why no one else was. And thank God that you have a heart." And if things like that don't bother you at all, maybe it's time to step back and ask yourself why. Okay, I'm going to go do something with this mess, and I'll be right back. I mean, is the mascara blowing you away? Believe Beauty. What was this, $4? Again, Believe Pat McGrath. Can you believe it? Believe me, I couldn't believe it. Get it? Believe. Believe me. I thought of something else before I let you go. When you're in x-ray school, they show you all these kinds of x-rays and they want you to try and figure out what these things are, possibly come up with a scenario of what could this be? What caused this? What is that? And one of the x-rays that we were shown, and I wish I had this x-ray to show you. Possibly every x-ray school shows this x-ray. I don't know. This woman has a wide mouth, intact mason jar in her uterus. In the uterus. So we're all looking at this x-ray and I'm going, how did that get there? Because to my knowledge, you have to have the cervix open to get something in the uterus. And this is an unbroken wide mouth mason jar. Like I went in there and got one of these so that you could have a visual for this. Help me out here. This was in her uterus. This wide mouth mason jar. Like what? Did she deliver a baby? And then the doctor went, hand me that wide mouth mason jar. And then shoved that up there. Then quickly sent her to x-ray to get the film that would stump an annual class of x-ray techs in training. And I'm like, how did that get there? And the teacher, of course, isn't saying anything. And the students are like, how do you think it got there? And I'm like, I don't know. Tell me how it got there. I have asked everyone in my field, in my family, friends along the way. I'm asking you now to explain to me, dummy here, how did this unbroken, not this specific one, but a one like this. And guys, it was not on top of her or under her. It was actually in her. How did this happen? And if you think for 1 second that we can't tell just from a normal plain x-ray, not a CT or MRI, that you don't have a brain, or maybe you just have a little pea brain, you would be wrong. Exhibit A. And that is all I have to say about that. It's time to go to Walmart and go shopping. I hope you guys know and remember that you are the best part of the Fritzy family. If you guys aren't having a blessed day, go out and be a blessing to somebody else. Until next time, love you, see ya, bye, and I'm out.
Today we're just going to be talking about... You now are asking me for an image of the damaged product, comma. Why did I read that comma out loud? You did comma. Period. Exclamation point. It's like the Lord is like watching me going, oh, did you want to try that out and see how that felt? I'm like, no, Lord, no, please, don't. No, please, Lord, I don't want to do that, Lord. No, please, Lord, no, please. I'm going to take that concealer down here because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I scratched myself. Mary Scratch Fever! Mary Scratch Fever! Na 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 na. Mary Scratch Fever! Do 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 da da da. That actually did pretty good, I think. It looks pretty good, I think. How many times can you say I think? So, I'm going to Won't you burp on everybody? You think that they prepare you when you go through your schooling for, every scenario. I'm scooting my chair. You'd think, Again? Are you gonna do something I don't like? Stop! You know I don't like it when you pat me on the head like that. Quit! Ugh. Disrespectful children. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And this is a wide mouth, unbroke mason. This is so juvenile. This is so juvenile. 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 Stop.